Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy, who is leading a select committee investigating the attack, says it would be wrong to raise money off of Benghazi. Here's what he said on Morning Joe yesterday.
I have never sought to raise a single penny on the backs of 4 murdered Americans. There are still, and even in a culture of hyper-partisanship, certain things that ought to be above politics, like the murder of our 4 fellow Americans.
Well, he personally has not, I guess. Can't speak for the rest of his party. About 30 minutes earlier, the National Republican Congressional Committee sent out this fundraising email from a website called BenghaziWatchdogs.com. The email lets recipients link to a page that asks for donations up to $500 and refers to them as Benghazi Watchdogs.
Willie, we were here yesterday, had Trey here, and
he was pretty passionate.
We agreed with him and I was warning, Democrats, Republicans, they don't need to politicize Benghazi. 4 Americans are dead. He comes out here and says that, and just 30 minutes earlier, his own party undercuts him and undercuts the credibility of his investigation by asking for like $25 donations off of Benghazi.
Are you kidding
Give me a break.
That's the problem right there. And I thought yesterday Trey Gowdy was good on this show.
He really was.
Insofar as he said, I will set a time limit on how long this goes. I'll do everything I can to get to the truth and not make this a political exercise. But all it takes is one email like that to show the other side that it is indeed a political exercise, that they want to raise money off this issue. And he said, I'm not going to raise 1 nickel over 4 dead Americans.
Yeah.
And then they went out and tried to do it yesterday.
Which is what they're doing.
Gene, I don't know why political parties do this. Political parties do it. It's the Republican Party now that's been caught doing this. I mean, they have undermined the credibility of this committee, and they need to clean it up and promise they're not going to do it again. Over 4 dead Americans, an American ambassador, over $25 donations to the NRCC. Give me a break. It's disgusting.
Give me a break. I mean, it really is hideous. And if Republicans expect this investigation to be taken seriously at all, and not seen as the most naked of political exercises to animate the Republican base in advance of the election, look, there are a lot of Democrats out there saying today, as they were saying yesterday, that this is all political, that this has nothing to do with the search for truth. It has everything to do with the search for votes and for contributions. And the party seems to be, eager to give evidence that position is right. So they better clean it up fast if they want anybody to take them seriously.
John, why don't we reach out to Trey Gowdy's office and see if there's anything they even want to say during the course of this show in response.
I'm sure they will. I mean,
I would love it. I would love to.
He's very straightforward about where he stands. And again, if I were in his position,
I'd be very angry if members of his party were making money off the backs of 4 dead Americans.
I would be pissed off. They really, you know what? They really undercut his credibility.
And with the number of hearings...
And I'm sure they're going to hear from him.
I mean, he has to establish that this is different in some way if he wants to sell this to the public. I think there is fatigue setting in on Benghazi. They've turned out 25,000 pages of investigative documents. There's been tens and tens again and again of different hearings and committee meetings. They got to prove that there's some substance.
Booms like that undermine everything they're doing.
Okay. Don't you think, though, that in a sense, if you're looking at this strictly politically, the Republicans would be foolish not to capitalize on this? I mean, I've been to these town meetings across the country, and Benghazi comes up repeatedly. You cannot overstate just how much this riles up the Republican base, and I mean, ultimately, that's what's happening here.
His words versus
trust me, this is an important issue for a lot of Americans, but when the Washington establishment seeks to exploit it for political purposes, or Democrats like to pretend that nothing went wrong there, then Americans look at Washington, D.C. and and if you're on either side, and if you're trying to fundraise $25 off of 4 dead Americans, that's why Americans hate the Washington establishment on both sides.
Meanwhile, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is weighing in on the new panel. She says it's time for Republicans to move on.
There are a lot of reasons why, despite all of the hearings, all of the information that's been provided, some choose not to be satisfied and choose to continue to move forward. That's their choice, and I do not believe there is any reason for it to continue in this way, but they get to call the shots in the Congress.
Well, of course, that's what you'd say. The White House, in my opinion, is still stonewalling. They hold back an important document where the White House is actually coaching Susan Rice on what to say on the Sunday talk shows that really began the center of this controversy. So, of course, Hillary Clinton would like them to move on. They're not moving on, and they shouldn't move on until the White House decides to finally cooperate.
And if all is fair, it's politically, quite frankly, in her best interest to move on as well.
Of course she wants it to move on because she's at the center of all of this.
More than anybody.
She was at the center of the 3 a.m. call.
Yep. Okay, so perhaps there is no more vocal critic